And it has been amazing what we've been able to see in terms of the results of getting that lightened and getting her to a place now where she's like, I can't believe that you're going to prevent me from having to wear a ton of foundation and makeup. She's like, I don't go out of the house without doing that. But imagine that here in Arizona when you're sweating or you're exercising or you want to swim.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that she will be able to do now, as a result.
Hey, Mom Nation. It took me a second because I had to hit the record button. It's actually really, really funny. Everybody, it's Katie, your founder with MOMnation, here again with another Live and Learn. I actually did a podcast this morning and got through the entire podcast. It was the one with my husband, and I totally forgot to hit the record button. So it seems like, right, we got done, and I was like, oh, so that was practice. Let's do it
Right.
again. So it's like I was telling you before we hopped on, Akili, it's me and technology. I know how to use it, but these last 2 days, I don't know. It's been testing me. I don't know what's going on.
Fighting. They don't want to see you be great.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our show. I am really excited to talk with you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody, this is Akili Worthy, and she is with Worthy Ink Studio. And we're going to be talking about tattooing, but not this kind of tattooing, right, Akili? That's not the kind of tattooing that you do, right?
No, ma'am, not at all. And I do get people that are like, can you just put a little cherry blossom here? I'm like, I cannot. I actually cannot.
That's not what I do.
That's not it at all.
Tell us a little bit, bring us into your world, Akili. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do at Worthy Ink Studio.
Yeah, Worthy Ink Studio is all about creating homes with tattoos. We like tattoos that heal. And what I mean by that is if there is a scar that you have, um, stretch marks that you are trying to conceal, areas of thinning hair that are a nuisance to you, those are things that we work to camouflage. And we camouflage them by turning them into pretty much what your skin looked like prior to you having that particular injury or that particular damage. And then we also do 3D areola tattoos. So, yeah, all about making things look like they once were.
Got you. So give us a couple of examples. You mentioned stretch marks. We're a bunch of mamas in this group. And so we deal with that, right? Some of us more so than others, but we all deal with it on some level. So can you give us some examples about maybe some patients that you've had in the past, or just some, different sort of details about what does that look like if I wanted to come and see you for my stretch marks? What kind of conversation would we be having?
Yeah, so typically we're going to do a consultation first. It will either be in the office, which is here in Awatiki, or virtually. And then we're going to go through, what is going on with your stretch marks? Where are they located? What created them? Because obviously we know that, pregnancy can create them, but also just sudden weight losses sometimes when people will see them, or growth spurts that they've had while they were teenagers, or, whatever. And they can exist in, multiple places. People know shoulders, stomach, hips, thighs, the back of the knees, right? We see them in pretty much any location that you could, consider. And so, what we're trying to determine is if your stretch marks are in a space where they actually can be camouflaged, number one, and then make sure that you're really clear about what the process and the aftercare is going to look like during that consultation. Some things that we are really looking for to determine if you're a good candidate is number one, are they perfectly flat, right? We want a stretch mark to be pretty flat, not swollen or anything like that. We want them ideally to be lighter than your skin tone. And the reason I said ideally is because if we're going to be adding ink to that stretch mark, we want it to obviously make a difference, right? And we typically want them to be about a year old. Reason being that, again, if we're going to be adding ink to that stretch mark, we want it to be fully healed. And sometimes if it's less than a year, it hasn't been fully healed. But that is if you're going to get the ink version. I also do an inkless version that allows us to make some adjustments with some of those rules. Doesn't have to be a full year. We can look at some of the more red or kind of purplish stretch marks when we're working with inkless tattooing. So the goal is to really find out what you need and customize an approach for you that is going to work the best for you.
So the consultation, it sounds like it's a really important step.
Yes, everyone is required to go through a consultation before coming to actually see us.
I love that you're an Ahwatukee. You're my neighbor. I'm an Ahwatukee girl too.
Yes, I love that. Ahwatukee is my old stomping grounds. I went to high school in Ahwatukee.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we were the first class at Mountain Point.
No way. Oh, that's cool. I know somebody famous now.
Yes, you do.
That's awesome.
Class of 94. Yeah.
Nice. So back to the stretch mark, the consultation. Now let's push forward a little bit to treatment. So we've had the consultation. We know where they are, what we're going to do. We've decided to go with ink versus the non-ink. Is there pain involved that we need to be prepared for?
You should be prepared for a little bit of discomfort. One thing about this type of tattooing, we don't go as deep as a traditional tattoo. So the pain is typically not the same. For instance, on the stomach, usually my clients will say on a level of 1 to 10, they're feeling pain somewhere around a 2 to 3.
Okay.
So usually
it's
a bit more tolerable. Yeah. In your areas that can be a little bit more closer to bone, like a hip or something like that, we might be looking at something in the 5 to 7 category. But if someone were to need numbing, we do have that in place as well. Now, we don't love to use it because it alters the way that the skin actually takes in ink. So I really would like my clients to see if they can try it without numbing, which the vast majority of people do. But if we did need it, it's there.
That's really good to know. Obviously, I have no fear of tattoo needles. There's artwork all over the place on me. Yeah. But it is painful. And I know that these are a little bit different than what you're doing. And so I can totally understand how some people might have some anxiety about that. Do you have any suggestions for your patients that come in and they're about to get a treatment done and they are feeling that anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, usually when they get on the table, we'll talk about that anxiety a little bit because it's really more of the anticipation. And then once they feel it, they're like, oh, that wasn't bad at all. So it's usually really just what your mind is making it feel like it's going to be. So what I just try to tell everybody is don't worry. If we're in any type of situation at all where you're feeling a high level of discomfort, we're going to numb you. I'm not going to allow you to be on the table and just be extremely uncomfortable. Just know that that might alter the way that your skin takes in the ink, and it might change the number of sessions that we have to have, or something like that. I just try to let people know that ahead of time. But people are good, once they feel it. They're like, that is not bad at all. I'm so surprised.
Well, and then if you're the one that is specifically performing the treatment, I find you to be very soothing. Just in this last few minutes of talking with you, you have a very nice voice. And so, do you do that on purpose?
No, you know what? The first half of my career, I would say I spent in broadcast. And so I've learned to have a very soothing voice, and I just haven't been able to let it go. I haven't been able to let that go. That quiet storm voice.
Yeah. I'm sure it serves you very well. It's very soothing, that's for sure. So let's talk a little bit about some other treatments that you maybe do on a regular basis as well. You had mentioned camouflaging for thinning hair. Now, I know a lot of moms, especially after baby, I don't know what it is, but all our hair falls out. And some moms struggle with that a little bit more than others. And for some moms, it's a permanent situation. Can you go into detail a little bit about what that looks like? Maybe give an example of one of your past clients and how much it helped them?
Absolutely. So with the hormonal changes that happen after you give birth, definitely we see a lot of shedding of hair that would have happened normally if you weren't pregnant, right? But it happens all at once and it feels very odd for you to be losing hair a lot of times at that rate. So when we're talking about camouflaging those areas, we do something called scalp micropigmentation, which is really designed to make the hair look more dense or look thicker. The way that I do that is by going into areas of the scalp and creating very small dots that look like hair follicles, basically. And so when somebody looks at the area now that once looked a bit more thin, now that area is going to look like it actually has hair there if somebody was looking at the actual scalp. One of the things that I want people to keep in mind when you're thinking about something like scalp micropigmentation is that ideally you should have at least 70% of your hair, right? Because we're looking at an effect. We're going from something 2D, like a dot that I'm placing on your scalp, to your hair, which is more 3D. So if you just have like a whole ball spot and I'm like just putting dots right there, you can see how that's likely not going to blend in a way that's going to look reasonable. It looks much better when it's amongst other hair and just kind of in there to create, like I said, the look of density in that area. But if you are in a situation where you do have more of like an alopecia situation where maybe it's areata, where you see different patches or something that has created more than a 30% hair loss, we actually have hair rejuvenation systems in place as well that are only available at certain salons and hair restoration clinics. I am an American Medical Certified Association, an AMCA certified hair and scalp specialist. So we have different programs that we use with different products that include laser lights and growth factors and all kinds of different things that can help balance your scalp and your hair. And, that process of bringing your hair back is really what we want to be able to establish.
I love that. And so during the consultation, if somebody were to come in and they didn't have enough percentage of their own hair, then you're having a conversation about that. Obviously, I mean, you can tell, hey, this is really going to work well for you, or, maybe we need to do something different, right?
Absolutely. And, the consultation for hair loss is a bit more extensive. I actually take you through the process of looking at your own scalp through a scalp scope because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see what's going on their scalp. They have no idea how much oil production is there. They don't know what a clogged hair follicle looks like. They don't know if their scalp is actually healthy or not. And so some of those things can be very eye-opening for clients so that they understand, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're doing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that you do that and really help guide people because, this is definitely something that I have never had experience with. And I was telling you, before we hopped on here that I have a friend that had a double mastectomy and she basically needed her nipples put back on. And I'm assuming that you do that as well. Okay. And she got that done. And that was really my first and last experience with this type of thing. So I'm so glad that it's available because this is solving problems that I hear every day. I mean, we see posts in MOMnation, I get private messages, things like that. I mean, there's a real need for this. how long does it last approximately? Is there a shelf life on this? Do you have to get it redone at a certain point? I know when I get mine, which goes deeper, right? These are the colorful, fun art stuff.
Yeah.
It fades and
Mhm.
may need to get redone at some point. Same thing for you?
Yes, and you ideally want it to fade over time because that's just what's most natural with the way that your skin exfoliates. Your skin doesn't want ink in it, right? So it's constantly trying to figure out how can it get this out of here. Your body notices it as something that's foreign. So that's why the color adjusts and all kinds of different things happen. So in paramedical tattooing, we try to use, or I use different inks that should not be changing colors over time, but it depends on the procedure that we're looking at in terms of the time frame. So it's scalp micropigmentation because women are constantly putting product in their hair. We can expect that you might need a touch up in a year's time, depending on what types of stuff that you're doing. If you're swimming all the time, you're in the sun all the time. Those are all kinds of things that will likely pull pigment out of an area. And so you might need a refresh, every, 1 or 2 years. Whereas stretch marks will be a little different. You should be expecting a retouch maybe in about 5 years or so. Same thing with some scarring. Sometimes we just do scar lightening as opposed to, full blown camouflaging it, but that should be somewhere around 5 years as well. So it's a nice semi-permanent option, that allows you to not have to think about things all the time that you once had to, and things that, a lot of people don't even consider, before they wear a dress. Okay, I have this scar on my leg. I want to try to camouflage it. Or,
Mhm.
with my 3D areola clients, a lot of them will say, my husband hasn't seen, you know, me fully unclothed for years because of how I feel. And that's huge. That someone would have to worry about that or have to consider that day after day. So, it just allows you to kind of be more of yourself without thinking
I love that. Sounds like you're
about it.
helping women every day, and it's not only with helping with the the thing that they're there to do, but it helps with so much more. So we've talked about the areolas, we've talked a little bit, we've talked about the hair thinning, we've talked about stretch mark scars. Is there anything else that this is good for?
I'm so excited about the fact that I'm working with quite a few dermatologists and plastic surgeons because people don't always think about the scarring that occurs after like mommy makeovers,
Yeah.
after yes, so C-section scars, tummy tuck scars, the belly button scar that's left after you have a tummy tuck, um, different kind of scarring that's left from different breast reconstruction, whether it's you've had an implant or you've had your breast reduced. I have been working with clients lately who have had dog bite on their lips, so there's no pigmentation in certain areas. So adding pigment back to those areas, vitiligo, where there's just again no pigment on the skin, and they want to be able to put that back as opposed to trying to wear concealer.
Mm-hmm.
I have a client that has a red birthmark on her face that we have been working on, and it has been amazing what we've been able to see in terms of the results of getting that lightened and getting her to a place now where she's like, I can't believe that you're going to prevent me from having to wear a ton of foundation and makeup. She's like, I don't go out of the house without doing that. But imagine that here in Arizona when you're sweating or you're exercising or you want to swim.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that she will be able to do now, um, as a result.
Oh, that warms my heart. That's amazing. So you mentioned that you're this is a location-based business really because it's a physical thing. You have to see your clients in person in order to do the procedure. So for those of us that don't live right in the Phoenix, Arizona area, can they still work with you? And if so, what does that look like? Can you do the consultation across the miles, or is that something that you have to be present for?
Yeah, Zoom is just an amazing tool. So we
It is.
absolutely can do a virtual consultation. Um, as long as I'm able to get pictures and we're able to talk about what you want to accomplish, we are good to go in most cases with a consultation. We do have people that do fly in because I think what I do is very niche,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I chose to go into the area. I like being a part of such a small, specialized community that
Hmm.
can create an incredible impact. So, um, the second client I had came from Hawaii, right? So there are places all over the country where, women want to have this done, men want to have certain things done, and there's just not someone in the area who's
Hmm.
been certified in this type of tattooing. So we would discuss exactly what, again, the procedure is going to look like and the time frame associated with it. We would talk about hotels in the area so you understood what accommodations look like. We would, set a date, take a deposit, get you squared away, and just, pretty much set up that timeline for you for the sessions you have remaining. Usually, I need to see people about every 6 weeks, roughly, sometimes 8, depending on how their skin responds and heals, for at least 2 to 3 sessions. But it just depends on what they're getting done. Scalp micropigmentation could be, a few more sessions because I try to create a very subtle look with that. I don't want to ever have anybody walking out like they've just had somebody come in with a Sharpie and kind of
Yeah.
draw in on the scalp, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very specific about how I do that and the type of color of ink that I use and so on and so forth. So that might be somewhere in the line of 3 to 5 sessions. But again, we customize it and work it out so it makes good sense for
That's awesome. I love that.
you. Yeah.
Where can our audience contact you, get in touch, read more up on what you do, perhaps schedule a consultation? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, my website, worthyinkstudio.com, is a fantastic place to be able to look at my lookbook, but to also be able to schedule a consultation. You can also check out my Instagram page, which is Worthy Ink Studio. Has a lot of different, pieces of the puzzle in terms of my work, different video series I do about alopecia, follow different client stories. You can also follow me on Facebook at Worthy Ink Studio. But you can certainly give me a call as well. I love to have conversations with you guys to clear things up. And, you can reach me at 480 5999.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Akili, it was amazing to meet you today. I'm looking
Yeah.
so forward to seeing you again, seeing you around. And I'm sure that there is a member out there, probably many, that have perked up their ears and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this existed. So hopefully you'll
Yes.
be also, sharing some time with more MOMnation members in the future.
I would love to share more time with MOMnation. And you know what I would love to do? Just for MOMnation members, if it's okay with you, I would love to offer them a discount of 15% off of any treatment they'd like.
Whoa, you heard it here, folks. That is highly generous of you. Wow, thank you so much.
Yes,
I will edit the show notes to put that in it because she surprised me, you guys. I didn't
I
know that was
did.
going
I
to
did. I
happen.
caught her off guard. I caught her off guard with that one. I do that sometimes.
I love it. I love it. Well, Akili, again, it was wonderful to meet you. You and those beautiful earrings have a wonderful day today. They're so gorgeous. I love them.
I appreciate that so much. It has been a blast for sure. Again, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for what you do for moms everywhere. It's truly appreciated that you get the message out and let people know what's available out there.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Akili. You have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.